আসসালামু আলাইকুম, গুড ইভিনিং লেডিস এন্ড জেন্টলম্যান। আজকে আপনাদের স্পেশালি লাইভে আমি আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি আপনাদেরকে। আজকে আমি বলেছিলাম যে আজকে আমাদের লাইভের বিষয় হলো যে ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ক্রিমিনাল কোর্ট আইসিসি উইচ ইজ লোকেটেড ইন নেদারল্যান্ড, যেখানে আমাদের প্রধানমন্ত্রী শেখ হাসিনার বিরুদ্ধে মানবাধিকার লঙ্ঘনের অভিযোগে একটা পিটিশন বা মামলা করা হয়েছে। এবং এই মামলাটা নিয়ে এটার আপডেট নিয়ে, কারণ এটা ইট কুড লিড টু অ্যান arrest warrant against the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. It could lead. So এই বিষয়টা নিয়ে আজকে আমরা কথা বলার জন্য আপনাদেরকে বলেছিলাম যে আমি আসলে আজকের এই প্রোগ্রামটার মূল বিষয়টা হলো এই কেসটা নিয়ে। সো যিনি মামলা করেছেন আপনাদের সবাই জানেন, উনি বাংলাদেশের জামায়াত ইসলামের ইন্টারন্যাশনাল সো-কল্ড ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ওয়ার ক্রাইম ট্রাইব্যুনালে উনি রিপ্রেজেন্ট করেছেন জামায়াত ইসলামী লিডারশিপদেরকে। এবং উনার বাংলাদেশের যে র্যাবের বিরুদ্ধে যে স্যাংশন হয়েছে সেই স্যাংশনের বিহাইন্ডে he was the part of this movement as well. So I mean, because my guest, my honorable guest is not a Bengali speaker. So as a result, আমি ইংলিশে এই প্রোগ্রামটা করব এবং আমি আপনাদেরকে বুঝিয়ে দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করব every now and then what is happening. Mr. Toby Cadman, I am so thrilled, honored, and I have privilege to have you on my show.
Thank you.
Welcome to this program. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce and joined by Toby Cadman, international law specialist, war crimes specialist, human rights specialist, so on, and the co-founder of Garnica 37, a barristers group based in the United Kingdom. Mr. Toby Cadman, welcome to this program. As you know, that many Bangladeshi people, they know you very well. The vast majority of people, they may not know you very well. You represent the Jamaat Islami at so-called International War Crime Tribunal, which was a judicial rigged process in Bangladesh. And you're fighting for Bangladesh. I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for representing Bangladesh in international level and telling the world about the oppression and aggressions going on and taking place on particularly the opposition and the causeless political persecution. You recently filed a case at international case or petition, International Criminal Court, against the ruling regime of Awami League and the head of this regime and the government, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Would you be able to inform us what about the case? What is the perspective or implications for this brutal regime in Bangladesh?
Thank you very much. So first of all, what I would say is that I've been working on issues in Bangladesh since 2011. 2010 was, I think, the first time I visited Bangladesh. And during that time, you've mentioned the International Crimes Tribunal. Yes, I was involved with the cases at the International Crimes Tribunal. And I was involved with ensuring that the international community understood the International Crimes Tribunal and that it wasn't a legitimate effort at pursuing justice for the crimes from 1971. Following on from that, I became involved with working on some of the enforced disappearances, the arbitrary arrest, detention, torture, which we know is rampant in Bangladesh. And we, at that point, and I believe that was around 2014, 2015, we initially petitioned the prosecutor at the International Criminal Court.
Yep.
And whilst the prosecutor at that time recognized that the crimes as alleged were crimes within the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court, the prosecutor didn't take the case forward at that time. But we have continued to work on those cases. We've continued to document. We had put out a public call for individuals to come forward. And so as a result of that, and as a result of some of the groups that we've been working with, we have been putting together additional material and additional filing to take to the prosecutor at the International Criminal Court. That is an ongoing process, and we will continue to provide the prosecutor with more information. We've seen that in excess of 10,000 political opponents have been arrested leading up to the election. We know that the election is not going to be a free and fair election, and that the government is using all law enforcement agencies to detain, to arbitrarily detain individuals, and so all of that will be provided to the ICC. Now, I can't say what the end result will be, because that's a matter for the prosecutor at the International Criminal Court to independently verify. But of course, what we are seeing are crimes on a colossal scale. I mean, we've seen sanctions that have been imposed on members of the Rapid Action Battalion. We anticipate more sanctions to be imposed as things get worse. And so I think that there is the possibility, and I see the question is the possibility of sanctioning Bangladesh police. There's possibility of sanctioning anyone who interferes in the election process. There is a possibility of sanctioning police for involvement in abductions, torture, enforced disappearance. So yes, of course there is that possibility, and we must continue to push for that.
So my question is, so could we say it is a case filed, or just a petition? What is the process?
So just so that everybody understands how the International Criminal Court works.
Yep.
So you file what's called an Article 15 communication with the prosecutor. The prosecutor will then make a determination as to whether there is sufficient information disclosed to open a preliminary examination.
Okay.
If he is satisfied that there is a sufficient evidential basis, then that can then progress into an investigation, a full investigation being opened, and then arrest warrants being issued. Now, what everybody has to understand is that it takes a very long time. These cases are very complex, and the prosecutor has limited resources. You have to understand that we are competing with situations such as what's unfolding in Ukraine and what we're seeing in Gaza and the West Bank, and so all of those matters fall under the jurisdiction of the prosecutor. So he has limited resources when he has such a wide spectrum of crimes he has to deal with. But look, we are hopeful, because we know that there's a strong evidential basis for it. So we are hopeful that it will progress to a full investigation.
So right now it is in a preliminary stage. So right now, when they accept it, they will launch an investigation into this matter.
That we can't say, because that falls under the discretion of the prosecutor. Obviously, what I can say is that we will be having contact with the prosecutor in the coming weeks.
Okay.
To have an idea. But look, I mean, I can't.
Sorry to interrupt you. Is in the coming weeks?
Yes.
Oh, that's great news. Okay.
Yeah, and you have to understand that it is a long, difficult process, but it's something that we are committed to continuing for as long as it takes.
So, Mr. Tariq Admin, so you filed a case at ICC, but you must have some serious grounds to file the case. What are the main grounds against Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina?
So the first thing I would say is it's not a case against the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. When you file a case with the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, it's referred to as a situation. So it's a matter for the prosecutor to make a determination, one, whether there is an evidential basis to proceed, and then he will make a determination as to whether the evidence demonstrates that political or military figures bear individual criminal responsibility. So again, I don't refer to it as a case against Sheikh Hasina,
okay,
because it's a case that is being brought based on evidence, based on witness testimony, based on reports, based on intelligence, And then, we identify within our filing who we believe are responsible. We don't name those publicly because it's an investigation, but obviously we hope that it will lead to those in positions of seniority in Bangladesh being held responsible with arrest warrants being issued.
So my next question is, how prospective your evidence that you actually laid out over there, you think?
Sorry, you have to rephrase the question. I didn't understand.
How strong evidence you actually submitted?
The evidence is strong.
Very, very strong. If there is a legitimate, evidence of committing crimes against, or violation of human rights, can the prosecutor ignore it? Or they have?
Well, there are various steps in the process that the prosecutor is bound to follow. Now, of course, if you are disclosing to him crimes of this character, no, he's not going to ignore it. The thing that you have to understand is that the International Criminal Court in The Hague is what's called a court of last resort.
Yes.
And it's based on what's called a principle of complementarity. So what the prosecutor will first look at, and in discussions with the authorities in Bangladesh, as to whether any of these matters are being investigated. Now, we know they're not, and we know that they won't be. And we've made that very clear to the office of the prosecutor that these matters will never be prosecuted at the domestic level. So then he will then verify, and he will then assess whether there is a strong enough evidential basis for taking it forward. No, he's not going to ignore evidence which is overwhelming. And the one thing that the prosecutor Karim Khan has made perfectly clear since he took office was he will focus the resources of his office on those cases that he considers to be evidentially strong and have a reasonable prospect of success. He's not going to spend years and years investigating, as his predecessors have, matters that can never be taken to trial. So if he considers that this is a case that can be taken to trial, he will dedicate resources to it.
So they must have some limited statute of limitations in this regard? No. Okay. So the end of the case is there any chance that any political influence or influence all of anything could deviate this process at ICC?
No. So if you recall, there was a situation some years ago when members of the Bangladesh government had tried to influence and had reported false stories in the media about a visit to the International Criminal Court in The Hague. I reported this to the prosecutor and to the president of the court, and the president of the court at the time issued a statement effectively stating that what was published in the Bangladesh media was not correct. So no, they're not going to be influenced by the Bangladesh government. Now, one of the questions that has come up in the past is that because of the particular situation with the Rohingya being in Bangladesh and investigations ongoing, and obviously the prosecutor needs to have access to Cox's Bazar, to where the refugee communities are. I mean, the question was asked previously as to whether that would impact upon any criminal investigation against any Bangladeshi for crimes committed in Bangladesh, and I think the answer to that is no, it won't influence it. There are always considerations, and the International Criminal Court is, by its very nature, a political institution, but it doesn't mean that it's politically influenced.
So I hope that, because recent United States government effort and some reports on the violation of human rights could be added to your case as well, because it is certified. It came out from certified body. So also, I would like to, ask you this question, because the former Attorney General Mahbub Alam of Bangladesh, Attorney General of Bangladesh, He said that your efforts is actually a bogus effort to defame the government. What is your take on?
Well, I think that's generally the response that I've received from, or not just me, but anyone who opposes the Bangladesh government. I mean, it's generally the kind of response that we expect to receive. Look, the truth will be in the evidence. If the evidence is strong enough, and if the prosecutor takes it forward, then it's not bogus, is it? And we'll have to see. I have no interest in defaming or ridiculing the Bangladesh government. Whether the Awami League stays in power is not a matter for me. That's a matter for the people of Bangladesh. My concern is that this current government has become an autocracy. It doesn't respect democratic principles. It uses state institutions to persecute civilians. I mean, we've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of arrests, disappearances, and there has to be accountability for that.
I already asked this question, but one of my our audience asking you, how much allegation or probably has been submitted against Sheikh Hasina? Would you reply to him?
So the allegations that are set out involve a host of different acts that have been committed by various state authorities. What I can say is that we have argued that it is part of a state policy, of which the highest elements of government are ultimately responsible. Again, it's a matter for the prosecutor as to whether he accepts that the evidence shows that, and whether he decides to pursue the highest political office or not. It's not a question that I can or will answer.
Okay, so moving here a little bit from this. So, this is a screenshot. Says British lawyer Toby Cadman, who was Jamaat's legal advisor, tells Al Jazeera he was part of team asking US, UK gov for rep sanction. Now, police of Bangladesh, they are involving in such an atrocities, or carrying out atrocities over the particularly opposition.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to tell the people of Bangladesh? I mean, do you have any effort? Because you are a human rights and you stand by the humanity and human rights, and you are the friend of Bangladesh. This is how I would introduce to the people. So, there is any effort from you against the police, because their brutality crossed the limit already? What is your take?
So, what I can say is, yes, I was involved with the previous submission, and I have had and have discussed this with both the authorities in the United States and the authorities in the United Kingdom as to what sanctions should be implemented. What I can't say is that I'm actively involved in bringing cases against individual police officers. I mean, when you look at the sanctions against the Rapid Action Battalion, you'll see that it's the leadership of the Rapid Action Battalion. I mean, it would be very difficult to bring a case against every single police officer who has violated the law. I mean, ultimately, that's a responsibility for the national authorities to investigate, prosecute individual police officers. I appreciate that under the current situation, that's not likely to happen. But I also have to say that my time and my resources are also limited. I mean, I'm not paid to do the case at the ICC. I'm not paid by anyone to do that, because I wanted to ensure that it was independent politics and I'm not influenced by any particular politics. So you also have to understand that with that there are limitations as to how much I can do, and the focus for me right now is on the ICC.
So also, as you know, that United States government brought up special visa rules against those committing crimes against or violating or deviating the democratic process in Bangladesh. I mean, you have actually, I would say that directly or indirectly, access to so many resources or individuals that actually who are standing by the democratic process. I mean, from your point of view, the do you think that even any kind of communication that you've been set it up already, or you do for the people of Bangladesh, because where there is no democracy, there is no human rights or justice as well. What is your take on this?
Well, I think the US State Department is quite clear on what the current situation is in Bangladesh, and it has adopted this policy very deliberately in order to ensure that there is a free and fair election. Now, we know now that that's not going to happen, and we know that with the recent decision in the Supreme Court against Jamaat, which is preventing it from exercising a fundamental right, which is to be able to operate as a political party. And you will recall that the US State Department in its previous annual report, human rights report on Bangladesh, criticized the Bangladesh government for the steps that are taken against Jamaat. So, the State Department is well aware of what the situation is well aware that the opposition is likely to boycott the election. It has made it very clear, as has the European Union, that it will not monitor the election because it does not consider it to be a free and fair election. And I think what we have to think of is not what the State Department or the US government, the UK government, and the EU does now, but post the election, which will be another stolen election, what will be their relationship with the Bangladesh government then? I think that's probably a more important question.
Also, it's very bizarre, or taken aback that the British government's any effort by the British governments, we don't see that in terms of restoring democracy in Bangladesh. What are the reasons you think that? Because British government, they're very silent in this regard. Whether their main ally or the best friend of the United Kingdom, they're trying their best. And also, this question is, if there is any way United States government's position could be deviated by any kind of influence out of Bangladesh, restoring democracy of Bangladesh, you think? Because people of Bangladesh right now laid their hope only, to be honest, on the United States government effort. Otherwise, Bangladesh could be drowned in serious authoritarian or autocratic regime.
So there's 2 or 3 questions there. So the first question is whether I believe you say that the United Kingdom is relatively silent. Well, what I would say is that the UK has traditionally adopted a very different approach to diplomacy than the United States. The United States is very vocal, it's very public, whereas the UK position is what we call quiet diplomacy. What I can say is that continues, and the fact that you don't hear it being shouted doesn't mean that it's not happening. So I think the UK is obviously doing their bit as well, but there will come a time when the UK recognizes that it is ineffective and it will have to change its course, as the United States had to. So I think what we will see over the coming weeks and months is a change in policy. In terms of whether I think that there can be any attempts to prevent or to change the course of action that the US State Department has taken, no, I don't. The thing that you have to understand is when an individual is sanctioned for specific behavior, there has to be a change in that behavior in order for the sanctions to be removed. And so far, the US has not seen any change in the behavior of law enforcement or even the government. So no, I don't see it changing. Of course, the Bangladesh government is spending a great deal of time lobbying the State Department and lobbying others to change that policy, but it's clearly not working.
Thank you. So I just, put in one gentleman. His name is Moshiur Rahman. Probably he sent some email to you as well. So he was the victim of, enforced disappearances. So Moshiur Rahman, what is your question to Mr. Tariq Admin?
Assalamu alaikum and good evening to you all. Actually, he is a great man, Mr. Cadman. I have sent you several emails to your office as because I was abducted and kept in a solitary confinement with blindfolded, followed by severe torture, then in jail 2 years, looted my house and all everything. And now I am a disabled guy, I cannot work. Is there any scope to be a part of this
And he lives in the
case?
kingdom, by the way, also.
Sorry?
You live in the United Kingdom.
And now I'm living in the United Kingdom. Is there any scope that I can be a witness? I can be a party? That's my question. Because if we can speak in the court, or then I think many of the people in Bangladesh will be safe. Right 1 hour back, I get a threat from Bangladesh that they are planning to attack me in this London city. So what should I do now even? This is my question, and thank you again to give me time.
Thank you. So first of all, yes, of course, you can be a witness and you can be a part of the process. And I apologise that you haven't been responded to by my office. Please understand that we've received several thousand requests from different individuals from Bangladesh. So what I would say is, if you contact my office today or tomorrow, I'll make sure that we set up a time so that you and I can meet and we can discuss it privately. In terms of if you are afraid of retribution here in the United Kingdom, then that is something that can be addressed with the police in this country, and I think it should be. What I can tell you is that I myself have received numerous death threats from people related to Bangladesh over the last few years, and as recently as the last few weeks. And I don't, whether I think it's insignificant or not, it has to be reported to the police. There's a specialist unit within the Metropolitan Police that deals with that, and I'll be more than happy to put you in contact with them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toby Cadman. So I think that's the answer that we've been seeking. From you to be informed, and the people of Bangladesh. But they were very keen to know what's going on. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me be in Bangla. So, এটা সারমর্ম, because you requested to be in Bangla. সারমর্ম হলো উনি বলেছেন যে এটার একটা চূড়ান্ত সিদ্ধান্ত এই পেটিশন বা কেসের বিরুদ্ধে আসতেছে উইদিন উইকস, অর্থাৎ কয়েক সপ্তাহের ভিতরে। উনি মাস বলেন নাই। It could be 8 weeks, could be 12 weeks, or it could be 2 weeks. So সপ্তাহের ভিতরেই এটার একটা চূড়ান্ত রেজাল্ট আসতেছে ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ক্রিমিনাল কোর্ট থেকে প্রধানমন্ত্রী শেখ হাসিনার রেজিমের বিরুদ্ধে। সুতরাং আমি টু বি অনেস্ট, আমি এই তথ্যটা আপনাদের সাথে শেয়ার করতে পারি উনাকে রেখে। এখানে উনি এই কথাটা বলেছেন অন রেকর্ড, এবং আমি চেষ্টা করেছি যে এই প্রসেসটার what is going on and the process of this petition or case আমি আপনাদেরকে ইনফর্ম করার জন্য। এবং I'm so glad and happy that we have him here, and he given me the consent to be on the show. And to be honest, we are very grateful to him for this reason. And আপনারা দেখলেন, এবং একটা জিনিস হলো যে উনি তার নিজ থেকে কোনো প্ররোচনা বা কারো পয়সায় নয়, নিজ থেকে বাংলাদেশের মানুষের আপনাদের বন্ধু হয়ে আপনাদের ভালোর জন্য উনি এই চেষ্টাটা করেছেন, এবং এটা অনেক খরচের ব্যাপার। তারপরেও উনি ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ক্রিমিনাল কোর্টে গেছেন যে বাংলাদেশের বিরুদ্ধে এই মানবতা বিরোধী বা মানবাধিকার লঙ্ঘনের চূড়ান্ত প্রক্রিয়াতে র্যাব, পুলিশ এবং রুলিং পার্টির রেজিমসের অ্যাসোসিয়েটস যারা আছেন তাদের বিরুদ্ধে উনি সংগ্রাম করেছেন। আমরা বাংলাদেশের পক্ষ থেকে আমরা ওনাকে ধন্যবাদ দেই, এবং এতটুকু বলি যে উনি বলেছেন উইকসের ভিতরে, এবং উনি বলেছেন উনি নিজেও he's a British citizen, but he got so many threats from this way, that way, associated with this regime. It's so sad and threatened, to be honest. And so above all, আমি এতটুকু বলতে পারি যে এই বিষয়ে একটা সিদ্ধান্ত আমরা খুব শীঘ্রই দেখতে পাচ্ছি। So thank you so much, Mr. Toby Cadman. Once again, I thank you from on behalf of all Bangladeshi pro-democratic activists. As you know, our opposition been certified by the Australian member of parliament, I was a senator, as a pro-democratic activists, not the opposition, because they are aware of the situation right now, what is going on. And your efforts, your commitment to the democracy and human rights, and particularly above all to the Bangladesh and Bangladeshis, should be remembered. Decades and decades. So once again, thank you so much for coming here, and I really appreciate your time. And I hope in the future we'll get you back again on the show to discuss if any kind of outcome we receive in coming months, weeks, months, or maybe in a year. Thank you so much once again for coming here. We really appreciate, and we wish your the best of luck. Be blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to give me a time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. আমরা এখানে রাখছি এবং আবারও বলি যে once again, please fight for your rights. Otherwise, you'll be drowned in authoritarianism. So make sure you fight for your rights. No one can actually protect your democracy, your human rights. You got to come out, you got to protect it, and you got to fight for your rights. Be blessed, ladies and gentlemen, and see you next time. And once again, please do not forget to support this channel, US Bangla, the most safest platform. We cannot stay on Facebook, Mr. Toby Cadman. Facebook, completely listen to the government. Trust me, that's what the very important piece of information I would like to share with you. Completely Facebook for the opposition is going as a hell platform right now for opposition, because they listen to the government's request. Today, even a national newspaper, Manav Zamin, reported on that how Facebook complying with the government's request to take down pages and profiles of opposition or opponents, by the way. So once again, be blessed and good night, and assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.